Wonderful. Thank you, Valerie. And we are glad you are here. So make sure you drive safely as you're moving home in the car there. But thank you for jumping out of work and joining us immediately. As Eddie mentioned, a few of our officers are having some issues with the link. And so just very quickly introduce Denise Compost, who is from Decatur. And so her in high school, so some of those experiences we may not always think about. She did 2 years at Decatur High, but also did 2 years homeschooled. And so her goal is mechanical engineering, and she's looking to continue her education either at UT Arlington or the University of Texas at Austin. And so hopefully we will see Denise join us very soon here. So as we talk about our questions, and so this is just for our questions, and I will throw it out to Grayson, Valerie, even some of our guests here. And so I see we have a couple of student guests who are here. You can answer this question as well, but we wanted to kind of have a dialogue really about what's going on in 2020 and kind of starting those first steps. And so just a general question as a staff member to a student, during the last few months, what issues within your community have risen to the forefront? And of course, all of our communities look a little different. There are, of course, some shared issues in our community, but anybody who wants to jump in right now, give us some insight there. I do see one thing posted in the chat, but if there's anyone else who wanted to say anything audibly or other things in the chat area, feel free. And just Marie, to put your comment in the atmosphere, Marie has mentioned she's focused on the election, and she's been volunteering with an organization called Get Out the Vote. And so that's awesome to hear. But what other issues have arisen in your communities?
I can talk about this. So in my community, we're getting kind of real close to the election season, getting real close to November 3rd. And I live kind of in a closed gated community. So we have a lot of people that speak their minds about, presidents. So we have people putting up Biden Harris signs, and we have people putting up Trump Pence signs. And, we see kind of a competition between different houses like that are across the streets. We have, a house that has this huge big banner of whether it's Trump or Biden or Harris, and then the house across the street wants to one up it somehow. So they'll go even bigger and bigger. And I don't know, it's just, you never want to see it get too out of hand in the community. So in my neighborhood, at least, that's what we're kind of going through right now.
Thank you for sharing that. I think that is probably shared across communities. I know I use the Nextdoor app, and so people are talking about folks stealing their signs out of their yards and stealing their flags. I think some of it is done to spite folks, but some of it is done out of malice, of course. But yeah, anyone else, other things that have risen to the forefront during these times?
Yes. Can you hear me? Let me know if you can.
We can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. Something that has been going around my community is living in a Latino, or where I live, it's mostly Latinos. And something that my family is trying to do is trying to have my family vote. Trying to get them more involved into the election, to get them more into voting. Me still as the youngest, I still want to set an example for my cousins or for my siblings. So my example is to go to the elections and already start asking my cousins, hey, have you registered? Hey, have you done early voting? So that's something that I have been doing, to have my family voted.
Thank you for that. Just want to shout out, I see Denise has able to join us. And so hello, Denise. We introduced you earlier, and Emily as well. So we introduced both of you earlier. And so we're just kind of going into our first question. Hopefully you see it on the screen there. Just talking about from the student perspective, what have been some issues within your community that have risen to the forefront?
I guess I'll speak. I think the biggest issue for me is just trying to maintain engagement and communication because everything's online. Um, I mean, that's like the biggest issue for me right now is just trying to like keep that level of communication up because it's not in person anymore.
Thank you for that. Anything else anyone want to share? And so we've gotten some things around the political climate, and kind of some of the games that are happening in our neighborhoods. We've talked about kind of getting folks, involved in the process of elections. And I think that was kind of in our comments, as well as from Valerie's comments in terms of her community. And then there's that piece about, what the pandemic has kind of done to us and kind of restricted us to our homes for the most part. Of course, we go out for essentials. Some of us are, out for work. And I say some of us, some of you, because I'm at home right now, are out for work. But there are a lot of things that are going on in our communities. Anything else? I don't want to hold us on a point if we don't have anything else to say about it. Well, we'll go to the next one here. I placed it in the chat, but just want to make sure. And so our coordinator, a lady named Dr. Jeanette Laredo, she came in and she hit the record button. And so we are recording. And so still feel free to speak your minds, but be aware that we are being recorded. And so these, of course, recordings may be shared with campus administration. So don't feel like you can't speak, but just know that they are being recorded. And so question for the group. So as a student, how would you define activism? And so if you heard the term activism, how would you define that term? What would you tell folks it means? What does it mean to you individually? So the term activism, how would you define it? Thank you there in the chat. We got helping the community as a form of activism. Give me more on that. So helping the community, give me a little bit more on that in terms of what you mean with that. I see you're typing. Thank you for that. So when we think about that term activism, what comes up when you hear it discussed on, whatever news station you listen to, podcast, television, when someone talks about the term activism, what jumps in your head? What images come to your head when you think about the term activism?
For me, activism comes across as a human right that we have in this country, and I feel like as a duty as a citizen as well, to bring about change, that you see something that is wrong in our culture.
Thank you for that. And a couple other things have kind of popped in the chat as you were speaking there. You basically said the same thing. Emily mentions action to bring about change. Marie goes in a little more detail. Thank you. She mentioned raising money for different local nonprofits, making sure people have the information they need to vote, and the concept and the idea of binding together to have a better community. Denise throws in achieving goals. What images come up? So, I'm switching a little bit. So when you hear the term activism, what images pop up? When you hear of an activist or the term activism, what image pops up in your mind? Is it a person? Is it an action? Is it an event? What's something that pops into your head? I'll throw out one just to kind of get you started. So now when I hear activism, I think about Colin Kaepernick. That was kind of one of those big pop culture, activism type things. And so I think about that one. So what are some other ones that come up? And so we got AOC. And so, of course, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez would be one. Someone was about to speak. Go ahead.
Yes, to me, activism, I wouldn't know if it's a wrong or right answer, but to me, activism as a picture or as an image, it's like diversity, equality. Like me as a woman, I would see women of color together and holding a sign of activism or of empowerment. That's what an image for me it looks like as for activism.
I love it. No wrong answer, especially when you're talking about it from your perspective. I think what you're saying is to see people together who may not have been as represented in the past, coming together, being active, being shown, that representation there and showing some diversity in it. I think that's a phenomenal answer.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Any other images related to activism come up? In our chat there, we have helping others share their stories so that discussion can happen in safe spaces. I love that. And so what you're saying is, making sure that we can kind of build a community of trust. And so we do feel comfortable to kind of have those quote unquote difficult conversations, making that a safe space to have those conversations. Thank you for that. I think Grayson, you were going to jump in.
Yes, I was thinking about the Save the Turtles campaign. We were banning straws. That's something that I think about.
Good. Well, my camera's off right now, so let me turn my camera back on. Here I am right now with a cup and a metal straw for that exact reason, is because I heard so much about how this was bad for the environment. And so I always drink a cup with a metal straw. As Eddie last said, I've had these forever, but the metal straw is for that exact reason. So perfect example. Any others? Activism. Like I said, we won't belabor the point. We'll go to the next one. And so for our SGA folks here, just kind of, and you've probably had these conversations with, Mr. Brassard.
I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. No,
Real
go ahead.
quick, I didn't realize my microphone was muted and I was just talking away.
Oh, your head's moving, but it's hard to tell.
I was talking about straws and all kinds of stuff over here.
Go for it.
On that last question about activism, I just wanted to ask the group, we've kind of talked about activism in general terms. Can you kind of whittle down a little bit and tell us how you might define student activism and some of the things that might go along with that?
Love it.
So for me, student activism, I would see it more as the students being activists towards the institution. So if the institution was treating students differently or doing something that is damaging to the student body, then I feel as then the students themselves should be standing up and being activists towards the institution. That's what I think.
Yeah, again, like Carter said with the last question, no wrong answers.
Okay.
Yeah, your personal experience, no wrong answers. I think we could take it a step further, Grayson, if I can throw in there. It may not necessarily be activism or actions toward the institution. There may be societal issues that students want to express at the institution. So, for example, you may have all heard about, a college sit-in or something there that takes place on a college campus, and the issue may be bigger than, TCC. It may be something that's going on in Tarrant County. It could be a national issue, but students choose to demonstrate at the campus where they attend. And so you see issues related to that all the time. I used to work at UT Arlington. We've had, marches and other things that were on campus, and they weren't necessarily about an issue at UT Arlington. They were more of a community issue or a national issue. And so it could be some action toward the institution, but it could also be something that is taking place by, the community or the institution itself out to something not in the greater community. And so that definitely exists. So our next one here, and so Eddie's off mute now, so we'll hear him next time he speaks. Our next one here is, for our SGA folks, what got you connected to student government? And as I mentioned, I know you probably had these conversations with Mr. Brassard, but kind of talk to our students who are here. There are a few staff folks who are here, and so talk to us. What got you connected? What was the glue there, aside from wonderful emails from people like me? But what got you there?
So I'll go first. For me, the way I got connected to TCC, I was looking for an institution that was local, and I was looking for just like a small community college I could be available to. And I was really looking for a school that I can make a difference in and an impact in. And when I found TCC, I really, really grabbed onto it. And then once getting into TCC and then looking for a community, I was looking through clubs and interests that I was kind of leaning into. And I found student government really, really appealing to me. I was a part of student government in high school. It was something that I was a part of for most of my high school career. And the main opportunity that I felt that I had at TCC before joining the student government was that I could make a difference in this technological new age schooling that we're doing all online. So that's why I felt that I should be a part of it.
Thank you.
Can I
Valerie?
go?
Yeah, please,
Yep.
go for it, please.
For me, what got me into SGA kind of starts with me way back. As a kid, when I entered elementary, I got bullied. I got bullied because I didn't understand English right. I knew how to speak it, but I was a bilingual kid, so I would get my English and my Spanish mixed up. And you'd figure, your first days of high school, you'd figure, oh, this is gonna be like scary but fun. But for me, it was a bit hard because I already had to learn how to fit in and had to fit in with everybody. But that didn't stop me. That didn't stop me from becoming a leader. So in high school, I got involved. What Grayson said, I was involved in student government. I was involved in National Honor Society, and I was very thankful that I got involved with Hispanic Women's Network, which is Latinas in Progress, which is a bunch of women all together, and we help each other out and help girls that are going to go to college and help them out and be their mentors and let them know that, hey, everything's gonna be okay. You'll be fine. You're going in through those footsteps, and I've been through that too. But another thing that also got me through SGA was my brother, Adrian. Since he told me, he's like, you should go for it. You can do it. You've been already through so much, and you want to be a teacher. SGA is something that was kind of already meant to be something for you. And I gave it a shot, and I ended up talking to Miss Kelsey and Eddie, and I think from there, I've been enjoying SGA.
Shout out to your brother.
I'll let him know for sure.
Emily, Denise, one of you guys want to hit on this question?
Yeah, I think just thinking about government, like student government, I automatically think about national government, federal government, and I think that a lot of people tend to focus on the quote unquote bigger issues, like what Donald Trump is doing, or stuff that's kind of out of our reach, and we tend to lose focus on what we can do in the small communities that we are in right now. And I think that if we pay more attention to what we could do locally and in our school communities and our clubs and stuff like that, I think that in return just results in such a huge amount of change that is just for the greater being, I guess.
I
Yeah.
just wanted to say I love that, because what you're talking about is the effect we can have at the local level in many cases is larger than the effect we can have at the national level. And so, our national politicians, from president to senators, representatives, governors, those on the larger scale, they get so much of the attention, but a lot of the change happens locally. And what better way to help affect local change is the college level, which has some areas where we can grow too. So I love that answer. Thank you for throwing that out there.
Thank you.
Denise, did you want to add anything to this?
Yes. Well, for me, for TCC student government, I thought it was a perfect opportunity to engage with other students, staff, and I'm very passionate about making change, and I love change as well. And I have a lot of ideas, and I'm just ready to make change happen.
Yeah, I think. Oh, okay, good. I am off of mute. I think student government is a really good training ground too for, learning how to be an activist and learning how to make change on that local level. So then I know some of you guys are, Grayson was looking into politics, and I know Emily is wanting to do international relations. So making that change and having an effect at this level, I mean, is an awesome training ground for you all to then, move forward and have that effect on national and international issues. So happy everybody's here. Carter, you still with us?
Yes, sir. I think we're
Okay.
good to move to the next one here, our next talking point.
Sounds good.
So I think this is a question here for everyone. And so when we think about our local colleges, and universities, we can throw in universities there. They are there for specific reasons. And we think about, of course, they're there to kind of help get you a credential, a degree to help you move forward. But the college and university, and specifically the college, we provide so much more. And so, as you've been a student at TCC, maybe it's been a semester, maybe it's been longer. What resources have you looked for the college to provide? And this is a weighted question, because remember, we're recording this. And so people will hear this. And so speak freely. Like, what are the things that you have enjoyed, that you love? What are the things that you may be missing that the college could try to do more? And, of course, we have to be reasonable, but there are some things that we could do to help support students. And so anybody who wants to jump in there, please. So I see a comment there about affirmative action in terms of income inequality. Interesting. And so you may have to give us a little bit more on that, because I want to make sure we get the full grasp of where you're going with that. But, affirmative action in college admissions with a measurable effect in reducing income inequality. And there's a question mark there. So help us understand it a little bit more. So I see another comment coming in here. So our engagement with the community, so you've been participating in the leadership trainings, wonderful, and that is a great comment. This is one we have to make sure we mention into the atmosphere, feeling like TCC really cares about you, which is rare. And so returning student, first university, yep. So wonderful things, Marie. Thank you for kind of putting those things in there. A comment here and a great comment here is you feel that there's a missing connection to health insurance. And so just in some of the committees and other things I've served on, I can tell you that has been a conversation for the college. But as you know, if you watch any of the media outlets, health insurance and health coverages are very tricky and they are very expensive. And I can tell you this, it's not going to be approved anytime soon. But the college has talked to health providers about what would it cost for the college to provide some type of coverage to students. And I will tell you, it is an astronomical number for the college to provide that. And so there have been discussions, there have been other things in terms of what could we do to help students out with health insurance. We will probably go more to trying to have better referrals and recommendations and trying to have agreements with local entities to be able to refer students. But the health insurance mention is a great one, and thank you for putting it out there.
And I do see that next comment too that Marie added about assistance with the marketplace. And I do know that the college was providing early on some workshops and things to support people getting on the marketplace. And that might be something, you know, we mention in future meetings to bring back. So those people who are now trying to get back on are supported there. And I think that was an outside government entity that came into the college there to help people get set up.
You are correct. And that's what I was going to say. I agree. There used to be a little bit more, and I think as it's gotten more politicized, some of the support at the college level is kind of backed off. But there are third-party and community industries and agencies that could assist students more with navigating the health insurance marketplace.
So for me, I have found a resource with my religion. There's a Christian club that I'm a part of, and it has helped me benefited me a lot with, you know, finding other believers. The thing that I do think is missing though is, you know, other people believe in other things. You know, there's people that are Catholic, there's people that are Buddhists, and a lot of different religions at TCC. And I feel like we could expand off that club and just create, you know, more diversity for other religious students.
Great mention. Thank you.
Hello?
Hello? Yeah.
No, go ahead, Valerie.
I 100% agree with Grayson. When I was looking at the TCC thing, I saw a bunch of clubs, but I didn't see a lot of Latino clubs or a lot of different clubs that are diversity for other students to also be close to as their own roots.
I think there are a few things to it, and Eddie can speak more to this because he's done it within the district for a number of years. Our student groups are created by students. And so in terms of faculty staff, we don't create groups. I don't come in and say, you know what, I'm Baptist, I'm going to create the Baptist student ministry. You know, they're all run by our students. And so sometimes, you know, they're here and then they're gone because the students who were really gung-ho and in charge of it left. But there could be some other things, and maybe there are some dialogues and some other things we could do as a department to try to have more inclusion. But I'll yield and let Eddie talk a little bit more about that process.
Yeah, you know, I've been with Trinity River specifically in student activities for about 10 years now. And we have had some Latino student organizations. We've had a couple different LGBTQ plus organizations. We even were working on for a short time with a Muslim student organization. And so, you know, I'm for sure with you guys as far as having a more diverse set of organizations for everybody to be a part of. But like Carter said, you know, it is a student-driven process. That student activities is sure here to support and help students through. But we also need some support in kind of getting the word out there to our students who may not come to the idea store and may not come to an event like this now that we're remote, to let them know that this process exists, that you can speak with us at any point, and that we strive to make it as easy as possible to set up some of these engagement activities and student orgs, so that we can have a more diverse set of offerings for our students to get involved in. I would love to have a gamut of organizations, but currently we have 17. Always looking for more and always there to help when a student comes to us wanting to create something new. So I would ask you guys and our faculty and staff, and if you find a student who's wanting to get involved, but that they're in a place where it's like, well, there's just nothing out there for me. Let us know. Let the student know that they can absolutely get in touch with us, and we can kind of work them through that process of getting an organization registered, and then the sky's the limit on what you can do.
For the Latino, I went to the first meeting of the intercollegiate, not intercollegiate, it's intercultural network, and they were partnering with Elias from one of the South campuses, and they would be a great connection to build something like that at Trinity River.
Yep, absolutely. We're always looking to collaborate, and it's always helpful as well for an organization to find or an up and coming organization at TR to find another organization at another TCC campus that kind of already exists, and then they can trade best practices, what works, what doesn't work. So that's always super, super supportive. So again, let's spread the word about that, and let's work together to promote it.
Any other resources or other things, you were hoping or looking for TCC to help provide? Also, yep, I think we can go to the next one. And so another question here, and again, this is us trying to think about, activism and first steps. What does your individual support systems look like? And how would you like to see TCC? And so when I say TCC, I'm talking about your faculty members. I'm talking about staff like myself and Mr. Brassard. How would you like to see us support students? So kind of two questions there. What does your support system look like, and what would you like to see from the college in terms of support?
So for me, my support system is my parents. I still live at home. So my parents are the biggest support system that I have. Always, checking up on me and making sure that I'm okay. I think what I would like to see from the college is, Eddie has done a really good job about this and making sure we're okay during meetings. I think what I would want to go further though is I would like the school to, maybe send a mass email out, not necessarily a Q&A, but just some kind of motivation. We're almost halfway done with the semester. We can do this. We can keep going. We're almost done. Just something that kind of people that maybe do not have parents or someone that is there with them. Letting know the students that the institution is there for them, and they like to see them succeed for sure.
Just a quick follow-up to that, Grayson. Do you think that, and I mean, this can be answered by anybody on the panel or in our audience, do emails work?
Great question, Eddie.
I think yes. I think emails do work. I think a majority, we're all online now, so I think a lot of the students are having to use email more than ever. Even when we weren't online, we still used a lot of the emails. But I think now students are having to look at their emails more than ever because everything is online. So I think now is the best time than ever to use an email system because of the amount of people that are using it. So yeah, in my personal opinion, yeah, I think emails do work.
Does everybody else in agreement to that? I see Marie put in the chat, emails help me so much. She answered absolutely, exclamation points. Denise says yes. Another quick follow-up. What makes an email stand out to you? Because I know you guys are getting emails from faculty, you're getting updates from the district. How do you decipher those? How do you select which ones you read first?
So when I'm looking through my emails, I kind of look at the like the subject line, that's usually like that's usually what you can kind of tell what the email is going to be even about. So if that subject line is a question, like how are you, that usually kind of comes off like a little bit more importance, so you know what to select. Like if I was going to get an email from a teacher that says, your grade needs to be fixed, or you need to correct this, that's usually, and there's another email from like the institution that says, we're having a sale. It comes, you kind of gravitate to something that's a little bit more important, something that's a little bit more like clickbaity, I guess you could say, something that's going to grab your attention. So I think subject lines are a big thing.
So Carter, in your emails, you need to put in the subject line, you're getting an F, and then everybody will read it for sure.
I'm taking notes on that. So
yep, me too.
There is a follow-up though with that though, Grayson, and so I have the ability to send these messages. So I do send it through Blackboard, which I think everybody's in, and so it comes from my tccd.edu email address. There's another one, that do not reply. So I do have the ability to send those. I really don't send those though, because they come from our vice president and other people send those as well. I'm always trying to think about, is this too much? I get paid to read my emails, for lack of a better term, as part of my job. So if I get 200 a day, that's okay. But I am concerned about us sending our students 50 emails in a day. I send you something about this event, then I send you something about another event. But I'm taking notes here in terms of, that kind of well-being type email. So you may see that one very soon. But we try to make sure that we respect your email inboxes. And so I try to limit the emails that I send to one per week. You'll generally get Tuesday. The other emails are not for me. So I just want to put that out there. But that is our only way to really communicate with students. And so that's kind of another thing to kind of put out there. We can't send you, there is a text messaging service in the district. We don't have access to it. And I think you have to opt into it. But, we don't have our own social media or any of those things there. So the only communication tool we have is the Blackboard page and the email to your MyTCC. But I love the information about the emails, and I'm glad that there are working for some.
Well, and Carter, just putting this out there in the chat, Mary put, your weekly emails are my first open on those mornings. So you got one person that's for sure reading those emails.
So send me an email back, and we're going to have to send you like a goodie bag or something, because that just made my Thursday.
So I guess I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Eddie, I always keep cutting you off.
No, not at all.
But something about the emails would be like, because I had just graduated, so I didn't know so much about like the email stuff. So I had Adrian help me out with that. But something that he did help me was to synchronize my Gmail through my phone. I didn't know that until Adrian had told me about it. Like, why don't we do something to help some kids out like me? that don't have an like an how do you say, an older generation? No, not an older. No, how do you say it? And no, like somebody older than you.
Kind of like a mentor to kind of guide you through that.
Yes, like to help you out, for step by step for those who like are barely graduating. Because I definitely went through that.
Intercultural Network has a mentorship program that I would really like to see be expanded to the entire college.
So it is open to the entire college. Now the question is,
it is. I'm part of it, and my issue is I don't think most people know about it.
Gotcha. Well, and that kind of we're going to be all down here. So we're trying to find everything out from y'all today. You know, how do we do that? We talk about the Intercultural Network when students come through new student orientation. You know, we try to send out information, you know, what gets students to, because there's so much important information. You know, students are worried about their financial aid. They're worried about, you know, the college admissions. They're worried about test scores. And so when are they going to see those other things as well?
So any more comments on what does your support system look like, or how would you like to see support students? I know we kind of went down that email trail a little bit. That was my fault.
But it was needed. Good feedback. That's a way that we can support our students. And that email and that other information may actually assist us in getting students active and kind of, you know, finding their place, and, you know, kind of leads into the activism. So I do think it was a great segue.
So if Carter thinks it's great, I'm going to move on to the next one. What does campus engagement look like to you? Who wants to go first on that? How do you measure an engaged student? How do you know that you're engaged on campus?
So I guess engagement, I guess your first question was, what does engagement look like to a student? I think engagement would be involvement in, I guess a synonym, it would just be the involvement in the institution itself. And that can come from, you know, many different ways. That can be in clubs, that can be in like activism, that could be in, you know, helping people to register to vote. That it can come from working for organizations for the school. It can come from many ways. But for what does campus engagement look like to you? For me, it would look priority look like students being purely involved into the campus. So, you know, everyone, all the student body, all of the campus administrators, all of the staff would all be involved on, you know, putting work into the campus itself. So imagine, you know, like it's a big factory or something like that. As an analogy, you know, it's a big factory. We have to have, you know, we have to have day laborers, we have to have people in the office, and everyone is working together to, you know, make it a successful business, making it a profitable business, making it a enjoyable place to be a part of. And so I think for it to be engagement is everyone pulling their own way, everyone enjoying it, everyone getting some kind of benefit out of it. So that's what it looks like to me.
Emily or Denise? Would you like to, excuse me, would you like to add to that? Would anybody else like to add to that? What does campus engagement look like to you? Well, I've got a follow-up question on that. How does SGA, how does student government hope to support or increase campus engagement? And I say that knowing that you guys are fairly new in your positions, but what are some of the ideas that you have just off the top of your head about how we can increase that engagement on campus?
That question is a very tricky question because I know like a lot of students are like busy in personal life, but also have school that are also important. But to get the kids, to motivate the kids, do we have a social media, like an Instagram or a Twitter, to to let the students know that we are also still activated and trying to still help the community out, even though we're still during this pandemic?
Yeah, the college district has social media accounts, and you know they put out as much as they can to not overwhelm students with information through those avenues too. So some of the social media is a little bit more, I guess, restrictive to us than others, but the Student Government Association, they do have a social media account that can be used to help promote different things going on campus, whether it's a student government program or just a campus program. So we can definitely look into that and try and promote some more for sure. Any other ideas?
I was gonna say that I feel like there maybe needs to be some kind of incentive offered to the students to actually make them want to become engaged. Because without incentives, I feel like they have no real reason to become involved. Although I don't really have any incentives in mind, but I think that's probably a good thing to have.
Yeah, Emily, I was gonna immediately ask you, that was my next question. What do you think would be a good incentive? Does anybody else have an idea of what might be a good incentive for students to become more involved on campus, to stay on campus more, or stay engaged more, since we're not necessarily on campus?
I have one. So I think trying to get, if they're involved in some kind of club, trying to see if we could get that on their transcript somehow. So if they are in hopes to transfer to a school, schools will look at that and they're like, okay, they were involved, they were a part of stuff. It's a little bit more interesting. I know colleges look at that. And so I'm wondering if that would be an incentive to some students.
What you're talking about there is what's called a co-curricular transcript, and programs and other things like that do exist. It wouldn't be on your official transcript, but it would be a document that could be, what's the word I'm looking for, validated by the institution, that could be sent out. And so we've explored some software that does that. We just have not gotten an approval for that yet, but I'm glad to hear you say that that's something that would be important, to have those things documented and verified by the institution.
When I see in the chat, Kelly put food gift cards. That would get me engaged for sure. But what do you guys think of that? Are we talking food gift cards as an incentive for attending an event? How would you distribute those? And
for events, I could see like maybe I don't know if that would be in the budget to just give every single person that joined the event a food gift card. I can maybe see like maybe a raffle, a chance to enter to, at the very end of the event, If you join the event and you fill out some kind of Google form, you're entered to a chance to win the food gift card. That could be an incentive for sure.
I 100% agree on that, because I just got home and I saw my packet that I won for Loteria, the one that Miss Kelsey had presented, and I opened it, and I forgot to take a before and after picture, but I'm already snacking on the snacks. So if she's here, shout out to Miss Kelsey.
So Carter, I'm hearing food works.
Well, yes, and and so with a lot of our events, we do try to do some incentives. Of course, with the COVID, we kind of, so she went up, I think, last week and kind of packed up some things that she sent out, and so we are trying to do some type of incentives. I know it's not necessarily immediate. There may be some other things we could do, but so food definitely works. I do want to jump in real quick though, Eddie, and Eddie and I talked about this before. I have to pick up a small person that belongs to me. And so I have to log off and get a temperature check and wear a mask and all that kind of stuff. So I may miss the ending of the meeting. But so I just want to thank everyone who did log in, who put items in the chat, and who spoke other things. And I'll catch the end of the transcript in terms of the video as well. So I just want to say thank you for that. And I just want you all to know why I jumped off is to pick up one of my little people.
Appreciate it, Carter.
So thank you all.
Well, let's hop to our next question here. Whoa, look at that. It's open dialogue time. So does anybody have any questions? Does anybody have any concerns? Does anybody have any kind of just reflection statement? Something they heard today that is, interesting to them and they'd like to kind of discuss a little bit more. So there's a question in the chat, and it asks, what does SGA actually do? Do I have any of the student government officers who want to take a shot at that?
So this may come from a personal opinion, but SGA, I feel, is, so we are the people who speaks for the student body. I think we are the people who are there to help the student body in any way that we can. We're here to bridge the gap to the student body to the institution. So we're basically like y'all's representatives for the student body. We represent the student body, and then when we have the student body has concerns, they bring it to us, and all the executive members will come together to come up with some kind of plan on how we can achieve certain goals and stuff to help the student body, and then we are able to take that then to the institution and see if that is something that we can feasibly do to help the student body.
I think that was a great answer, Grayson. I will, I can add to that, just like Grayson said, that student body or student government acts as that bridge between our student body and the campus administration. And they provide they legitimize, in a way, some concerns, some questions, those things that, one student may have an issue and they can take that to the Student Government Association where, there's a process for students to come together. They can take that issue to the Student Government Association and they may find that, it's more than just one student who has this issue. It may be, 100 students, it may be 1,000 students. Student government carries that direct link to administration and has the the open door kind of policy with them, that they can bring those issues and they can, you know, advocate for those students on campus who might want to see an improvement or want their voice to be heard. And so I think it's a way for every student to kind of come together as a group and really advocate for themselves and for the overall experience of our Trinity River students, for sure. On a daily basis, I can tell you that the Student Government Association meets once a week. They bring together all the representatives from our student organizations to dialogue and to talk about collaborations and events and activities and how do we get more students engaged. So the Student Government Association really brings together a lot of those really engaged students and talks about why they're engaged and how can we get more students involved in what we're doing and involved in the Trinity River campus. So there's a lot of work that goes into it and a lot of time that is put into it as well. And you know, they've done great work over the last 9 years or so that I've been working with student government. And I'm sure that this group, we're a few weeks in, but do great work too for the student body. So excited about this year. Mary, does that help with your question? I see that you're typing there. Yes, good, awesome. Is there anything else before we close out here that anybody would like to just kind of talk about?
I have a question.
Yeah.
I would like to know a sneak peek of what I'm gonna wear.
Valerie. We'll talk about that after the event.
Okay.
Okay. So in the chat, I am going to drop a link to a survey of this activity, of this event. So for those of you in attendance, please click that link and tell us your thoughts, how we can improve, what you enjoyed, how great of a host Carter and I were, all that kind of good stuff, and how awesome student government is, that kind of thing. I just wanted to say thank you guys for being here. Thank you to our Student Government Association officers for letting us drop some questions on them today. And I appreciate everybody contributing and participating in the talk today. And so I will say goodbye and thank you again for being here.